Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome to another Getting Started in Beekeeping. Today we're going to take a look at pests and diseases, and I think because it is quite a large category I'm going to split it into two sections, and we'll deal with the pests this week and then we'll look at diseases next week. And I've brought the camera out to one of our apiaries where at the weekend I discovered a brood box that I'd forgotten had some frames in it, and coincidentally it also had some pests in it, so we're going to take a look in that, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. We've got an ever-growing list of videos in this Getting Started series, and hopefully you're finding them interesting, and there's plenty of information there for you if you're new to beekeeping, and helping you build up your own personal knowledge of beekeeping. So generally speaking, here in the UK we don't suffer too many pests. Mice, wax moth, woodpeckers, badgers are another one that some people have problems with. If you've got hives out in the countryside, then you might find that deer could be a problem in that they knock over beehives, but generally the closer you get to the cities the more likely you're going to suffer from pests of a human kind knocking over your hives. Obviously around the world there are going to be a whole range of different pests that are going to cause you problems, and we've had some contact from some of you who've talked about skunks, for instance, and I'm sure that there are going to be instances where bears might be a problem, and a whole range of different wildlife. So if you've got some unusual wildlife that cause you problems, pop it down in the comments below, and we'll see what kind of issues that you've all got. But here in the UK predominantly we're talking at this time of the year in the winter, mice, woodpeckers, wax moth can be a problem, particularly in old equipment, and that's where I'd like to start. So here in the UK we've got two types of wax moth, the greater wax moth and the lesser wax moth, and as you would expect the greater wax moth is the larger of the two, and you can tell the difference from the larvae when you open up your colony. If you've got wax moth in there, you can sometimes see tunnelling beneath the wax cappings, so if you look very closely you can see where the wax moth have eaten their way through the cells but just below the cappings, and so you get a fine cover to the tunnelling, and if you use your hive tool and just dig through that tunnelling, normally it will reveal a wax moth of some description. What we've got here in this apiary is a box of frames that we had that I'd forgotten about, and so what I'd like to do is to just open up this box and show you what a mess wax moth can make of some empty frames that you've not taken out and cleaned in time for storing through the winter. Okay, so this is the stack that we have that I'd completely forgotten about. And here we have the wax moth. And what you can see here are the cocoons of the wax moth. And if I try to pull these out, they're all knitted together by the silk that the wax moth produces. So I'm just going to pop the camera back on the tripod and then we'll pull these out and take a closer look. Okay, so as you can see there are probably hundreds of wax moth larvae in this, and they've made a real mess of it. And what they do is just eat their way through the wax, and so now this will all have to be destroyed and the frames cleaned up. So disappointing that I've missed this particular box because it had some frames in that I could have used, but these things happen, and we just have to crack on, repair the damage and start over. So that's the wax moth. You can see the mess that they make, and all of that equipment is now going to have to be cleaned up. The next one that we want to look at are mice, and these can be quite destructive in a number of ways, particularly with colonies over the winter. If you allow enough room for the mice to actually get into the hive by maybe not having an entrance block, or having an entrance block where the gap is too tall for the bees to get in and out, and that allows the mouse to then slide its head into the colony and actually get into the colony and make a nest. And I did find a mouse nest in one of the colonies last year when we were cleaning out the old hive boxes. So I'll post a link so that you can take a look at that, and here are a few screenshots of the mess that it can make. And to be honest, it just makes for more work for the beekeeper. So if you can prevent the mice from getting into the colony in the first place, then you're going to save yourself a lot of time in cleaning equipment, you're going to save a lot of wax that the bees can use, and also through the winter, if a mouse gets in and goes undetected, then it could potentially ruin a lot of the stores for the bees, and the bees will then starve. So it's worth making sure that you're prepared over the winter by using a mouse guard on the front of the colony, and we've also posted a video about that as well, so take a look at that if you get a chance. So the other problem with mice is not only do they get into your beehives, but they'll also get into storage areas. And if you have maybe some wax in storage, or you're using polystyrene equipment, they can make a real mess of it, and all of the work that you've put in preparing for the new season can go out of the window, and you've then got to do more preparatory work in order to get ready for the coming season. And we've had just that situation here. We have a storage shed where we keep some of our equipment, and we've got some queen mating nukes. And I don't know whether you can see on here, let's see if we can turn it into the light. So what we've got here, although the damage isn't extensive, you can see that the mice have been chewing away at these polystyrene mating boxes, and we had them all painted, they were all ready to go, and now we're going to have to put a bit more work into them. And there's really only one way of dealing with them, and that's to trap them. And unfortunately, it's not something that I like to do, but it's become essential for us really, and we regularly trap several mice here in the shed each week with just standard mouse traps. So it's really important that you take care of your equipment and look to prevent the mice from attacking it and basically ruining all the hard work that you've put in. And the other problem that we do face in our apiaries here in Norfolk particularly are green woodpeckers, and they have a habit of descending on an apiary when it's really cold and frozen, and they'll knock a hole in the side of a hive and then feed on the contents inside, or they'll knock a hole in the side of spare equipment that you've got and do quite a lot of damage. So again, more work that you as a beekeeper have to repair in order to get your equipment back up to scratch, ready to be used for the new season. So the simplest way to protect them is to wrap the hives, and you can use maybe some black plastic. We use chicken wire, and there's another video that you can watch which is showing you how we wrap our hives in chicken wire, and I'll just take the camera off the tripod and we'll just walk down and show you a couple of the hives that we've got wrapped up in chicken wire. So here we've got just one of our standard commercial beehives, and it's wrapped in chicken wire, and you simply loop it around the box and then secure it at the back, and all we do is we just push the wire together so that it holds it steady. Okay, so those are our main pests here in Norfolk, and I'm sure that you all have a variety of different pests that you have to suffer. I have actually seen some hives not too far away from this apiary that were outside a perimeter fence, and they suffered some really bad damage from vandals. So they were just kicked over, and I've actually got these photographs that I can show you. There were bees inside the hives, and some local human pest has obviously come along and shoved them all over, and unfortunately the beekeeper wasn't aware that they'd been kicked over and the colonies died. So take good care of your colonies and make sure that they're well protected, particularly through the winter months, and they should come through unscathed and be ready and strong for the spring. I hope you found that interesting. So next week we're going to take a look at diseases, particularly brood diseases, so I hope you'll join me for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, and it would be great to have you leave any comments that you can think of down below in the comments section, and we'll catch up again next week. Thanks for watching.